I am thrilled to be here with one of the world's leading experts in the health and wellness industry. Her name is JJ Virgin. I'm sure you have heard of her because she is a triple board certified nutrition expert. She is a New York Times bestseller. She has many different products, books, programs on the market. JJ, you and I met a few years ago, and I was frankly so grateful to even meet you because I've heard about you for over a decade. You've been a leading expert in the nutrition and fitness industry for many, many, many years. So it's an honor to have you on this session. We cannot wait to hear your tips, hear value from you. But as we start, I'd love for you to share just a little bit about when and how you entered into the wellness space. Share that background with us so we have some context.
Okay, so here's what's crazy, Amanda. I don't think there was a wellness space when I entered into the wellness space.
That's true. You created it.
We can rewind way, way, way back. And in fact, it is funny. I was literally out to dinner with Mark Sisson and Shalene Johnson the other night. And we got to get a picture of us,
The OGs, the OGs. Yes.
But as far as I know, Mark Sisson and me and Tony Horton and Body by Jake were the first personal trainers. Like, I still remember, there wasn't aerobics when I started. There was jazzercise and calisthenics. So I started in high school teaching calisthenics.
Crazy.
And then when I went off to college, aerobics had started, and I literally paid my way through college teaching aerobics, taught aerobics in Japan, which was its own fun, crazy thing because no one spoke English in the place I was at. And then when I came back, someone asked me to come to their house to teach them aerobics at home instead. And that became personal training. So, it literally, it was the rise of the gyms. In high school, I used to work out with the football players in the football players gym because there weren't health clubs back then. And we would have health food stores where you would go and get it was granola land. But luckily I grew up in Berkeley, California, where a lot of this stuff kind of started. So again, it's been really cool to be at the beginning of an entire industry and watch it go.
Yeah. Okay, everyone listen. This is just incredible. We are in the presence of the original personal trainer. I hope you guys understand this. And we have a lot of faster way coaches listening. We have a lot of personal trainers and nutritionists listening. JJ, you created the category, and this masterclass is called Millionaire Masterclass. But JJ, just so you guys understand, she is a multi-millionaire in this category. And not only did she establish herself as an expert, a thought leader, someone to model after, she has sustained that over many, many years. And we won't share your age unless you want us to, JJ, because I'm always
I totally will share my age.
Do it.
And here's what's interesting, Amanda. I'm actually more excited right now for the industry, for the opportunities, for what I'm stepping into next in my personal brand than I have ever been. Literally, I truly am. So I am now 60. I think the opportunities are way bigger. Right? It's a fantastic time to be in this industry.
I totally agree. And I've said for the past couple of years, it's never been a better time to become a millionaire, but also a harder time to be an average citizen. So if you're listening and you're a personal trainer in a gym, or you're a nutritionist who's working with clients one-on-one, that is a grind. It's still extremely difficult. My mission, my purpose on this earth is to eradicate poverty for women in wellness. Because listen, the average trainer in 2024 makes $36,000 to $38,000 annually. That is unacceptable. We want you to be earning a substantial income so you can recirculate your wealth, but we also want you to make a big impact. JJ, you're so right. I've never been more confident about the impact that can be made, but also about the problems and the pain points that the marketplace is experiencing. It is worse than ever before. And we're not going to waste time on this, but listen, you guys, obesity is on the rise. Misinformation is on the rise. There is so much confusion in the marketplace. We need to be there, arms open wide, for people who are wanting help, looking for help, because there is big companies out there who are confusing everybody. So we're not going to waste time on that. But JJ, thanks for sharing a little bit about your background. Let's dive into some of your tips and strategies for audience ascension. So for creating a loyal, large audience who will invest in your business so that they can transform their lives. Let's just, wherever you want to start with that, let's dive in.
Oh my gosh. Well, where it all started for me was way back when, and I was actually on Dr. Phil every week as the weight loss expert.
Wow.
And I thought, you know what I should do with this? Because I was still one of those people. I was struggling financially, trading time for money. I hadn't figured out how to turn this into a business. And so I thought what I should do is write a book. That'll solve it. Right? There you go. And I sat down. One of my buddies said, "Hey, if you want to write a book, what you should do is sit down with Dr. Joe Mercola." At the time, Dr. Joe Mercola was not drmercola.com with the biggest health website in the world. He was just starting his website, but he'd done books. And he literally sat down with me and goes, "JJ, the money is in the list." And I was like, what list? Where's the list? I need this list. Right. And what was so crazy, this was 2007, I think, 2006. I had a website. I was on Dr. Phil every week, but I didn't have a box on my website to get name and email. I know. Oops. But it was so good that happened because it made me realize it was just like back when I was one of the first personal trainers. And I discovered that Body by Jake had a waiting list, and Jake was killing it out there, and he was charging twice as much for half an hour session. So he was making 4 times the amount I was, and I had way better education. And I realized I needed to learn marketing. And so this was another one of those wake-up calls where you go, oh my gosh, okay, what do I need to do? So fast forward to, I figured it out. I figured out how to build a list. And that really means, how do you build an audience? And, because your money is in your audience. When you have an audience, they can take everything away from you. And you can be fine because you have an audience, right? That you can say, hey, I've got this great thing for all of you. And so I have really focused on, what does it take to build that large, loyal audience? We all hear about having that raving fan base. And I'm a very mathematical person, as you know.
Yes.
And so I like processes, because then you can just follow that process. There's always a success path. And so when you look at how you build an audience, it really comes down to 7 steps. The first step being that you need to identify who your audience is. Now, when I started out in weight loss. It was me, Weight Watchers, and Jenny Craig. No possible way could I compete in that situation. When my brand blew up, it was because I got very specific as to an area in weight loss that I was going to focus on. And I knew exactly who my audience was. Like, I'm excited about the next step in my evolution because I know my audience. I know their pain points. I know what they're looking for. I know who they are. I'm not looking to serve everybody. I'm very specific about the people I want to serve and the results I have to offer them. And that's what you have to know first. Who are you serving? What is the transformation? What's the pain point you're solving for them, and the transformation you're providing for them? That is so critical. And then how do you speak directly to that person?
Yeah.
Not to everybody. How do you speak to them so they'll lean in and go, oh my gosh, she gets me.
It's so
right?
counterintuitive, JJ. We want to be all things for all people. And when we hear to simply focus on one person, it's like, no. What is this, opposite day? Like, we should post and try to get as many people's eyeballs and and go viral. No, it's far better to say, I'm going to focus on a niche because the riches are in the niches.
Always.
You have developed an avatar, and I'm not sure who it is presently, but for me, perhaps it's the postpartum female in her mid-30s who is trying to juggle 100 things, and the strategies that were working when she was in her 20s aren't working anymore. And in my case, kind of who I am now, that is my niche. And it doesn't mean that if you're listening, that's exactly who it is. But many of you guys have had your own stories and pain points and problems. And you say, okay, my niche is someone who has horrendous gut health and is bloated all the time and doesn't know why. And so I'm going to write a list of 4 problems that this avatar, this person has, this audience has, and then a list of the solutions. And I'm really going to zero in on the internal and philosophical problems, not just the fact that she's bloated. Like, you guys don't post all over social media. Are you bloated? No. Are you
Yes.
discouraged because you can't go on a date night with your husband without having to run to the bathroom? Are you frustrated because when you look in the mirror, you don't even recognize the person who you see? You look 7 months pregnant. Are you, insecure, blah, blah. So audience is number one. The riches are in the niches. The riches are in the niches. JJ zeroed in on her person. She now has maybe a new person. Maybe she's morphed and changed a little bit, but she knows exactly who she's talking to. And so when they see her content online, they're like, oh my gosh, JJ gets me. I am seen, I'm heard, I'm understood. She knows my problems better than I do. So everyone, I want you to really take this serious. Don't post for everybody. Post for that one person. So what's your second tip?
So once you've done that, and again, the important thing there is, I think we feel like if we do that, we'll limit ourselves. But reality is there's way more abundance in the niches, as we know. So once you've done that, now you've got to look at how can you attract them. And again, you mentioned it, the words that you use are super important, but I look at a couple different ways. Like, I want to have a diverse strategy for building an audience. And I think one of the things that's so underserved is just the ability to collaborate with people who share your like audience. And when I think back to, I owned a gym and wellness center. And I also was doing stuff online way back when, like before there was online, when I literally had to take a phone line. You won't even know what I'm talking about here. I had to take a phone line, plug it into the computer so that AOL, You've Got Mail, would start. And I started doing some fitness by phone type of things.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
But even back then, I would always have people who would refer to me. Now, two different ways that I would do it. Number one would be, I go, who shares my audience the best? When I owned a wellness center, I literally put my gym and wellness center, my front door was the back door to the top boutique in town that had all body conscious clothing. So this gal who owned that place would march the people. They'd go in the dressing room, they'd get frustrated, and she'd march them over to my gym. So I had the top gym, I had the top aesthetic center, I had the chiropractor, I had everyone who I shared. I could send people to them, they could send people to me. And that is what I still do it to this day. I'm like, who are my 5 to 10 people who I share an audience with? And whether I'm national, international, doesn't matter. I'm doing stuff with someone right now. We're doing collaboration from the UK and the US.
Amazing.
But we share the similar audience. So what works as a local physical works virtual, works international. Find those 5 to 10 people who you can support, who you can share. You can send people to them. They can send people to you. And, we talk a lot about word of mouth. People go, oh, I build my business through word of mouth. Word of mouth is fantastic. Those are people that have transferred their trust. If someone's referring someone to you, they've already bought that into that person. They know, like, and trust them. They transfer that trust over. It's fantastic. But I call this facilitated word of mouth because most people aren't thinking every day, gosh, I'd love to refer people to JJ. That's what I'm going to do today. So how can I do this in a way that's more consistent? So that's one of them. And I like a diverse type of strategy because if you focus on just one avenue and it dries up, you're done. You're in trouble, right? So there I have collaborators. The next one is, where can I speak? And way back when I was building, speaking might have been at the local compounding pharmacy, at the local church. I spoke all over the place. Now it can be online, but where are the different places I can speak? When I'm helping someone build their audience, I say, get yourself at least one talk a month.
That's a great goal. At least one talk a month. That's fantastic. JJ, I used to host lunch and learns, health and wellness lunch and learns in my 300 square foot apartment. It literally cost, it was $330 a month. Can you guys have $330 a month? I would get little folding chairs from the local college, and I would walk around to the neighborhood, knock on doors, and I would host a health and wellness lunch and learn in my house. I'd put little slides up on the TV. It's just so, but these are the non-scalable strategies that you were willing to do. I was willing to do. I love the goal for everyone listening. One talk per month. Phenomenal. That's fantastic. At your church, at the school, you create your own lunch and learn. You you go
Yep.
to your husband's business, whatever it is. That's great. One talk per month. That's a good goal.
Okay, here's the other one. So you've got at least 5 collaborators, because I know if you do these 3 things I'm saying, you are a 7-figure business earner. I have proven it over and over and over again. So I know this to be true. So success leaves clues, right? So 5 or more collaborators, 1 talk a month, and then an interview every week. Now, this could either be you and someone else doing an IG Live collab, or you getting on someone's podcast, or you doing a YouTube with someone, but doing 1 interview a week.
Great.
Every week.
Fantastic.
And I'll tell you something. I just interviewed Jack Canfield. He's a long-term client of mine. And I interviewed him for our Health Business Growth show. And he said, back in the day, now Chicken Soup has sold 600 million copies. He is in the Guinness Book of World Records. Yes, right? I know.
Holy cow.
It's like it's crazy.
Insane.
Most books sell 100 copies.
Oh my God.
So he literally, in its heyday, he was started with 10 interviews a day. And for a year, he did 3 interviews a day in, day out.
Crazy.
So you can do 1 a week.
Yeah, we can all do 1 a week. Yeah.
You can do 1 a week. Yep.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to identify our ideal client, the person who we really want to speak to, the person whose problems we want to solve. We're going to attract. The collaborations is such a good tip. And I know what some of the, our listeners are thinking, well, hey, how do I approach him? Listen, so much of this is mindset. If you have a cure for cancer, if you know how to, if you are on the road and you see a 2-year-old is about to get hit by a car, what are you going to do? You're going to scream, you're going to yell, you're going to just get out of your own way, build up the confidence. You have a solution, reach out to people. You're going to reach out to 50 collaborators. Only 2 are going to get back to you. It's just simply a math equation, to quote JJ, but it's fine. You have to be willing to take on some rejection, but the 5 collaborators who decide to partner with you, that's huge. And then same thing, you're going to reach out to people to be on their podcast, to be interviewed with them, to do, a side-by-side Instagram Live, YouTube, whatever the case may be. Some people are going to just poo-poo you, say no. Who cares? Just get yourself out there. Everybody starts somewhere. I was horrendous at this when I first started, but you just got to make it happen. And maybe you do one of these events, a little lunch and learn at your house, or you go to your church and 3 people show up.
Local pharmacy.
Local pharmacy. I love it.
Well, I know local like literally I would do it in places 3 people would show up in their little chairs. And I was like, all right, okay, here we go. Everyone wants to be on the big stage or the big TV show. I go, before I was on Dr. Phil for 2 years, I was doing little local shows. Mm-hmm. Again, speaking in the little pharmacy, 3 people showing up and just, getting my training wheels off. Mm-hmm. But as far as talking to collaborators, you're looking at how can you support each other, not how can I get stuff. How can we support each other? And that's a very different conversation. Yeah. I was looking back to when I very first started in the whole online space, and it was me, Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Anna Kabecka, Dr. Sarah Gottfried. If I named all these people, you go, oh, I know all those people. We all started together and supported each other. Mm-hmm. So we were each other's collaborators from the start. And that rising tide lifted all the boats. We all supported and went up together.
Yes. I love it. Okay. What are some of your other ideas for audience ascension to build this large, loyal audience?
All right. Well, so here's the thing that I missed. And so I want to make sure no one listening misses this one, because they're listening to you. They're like, I like her. This is a person I'd like to get to know better. Now, does that mean that they're going to jump right in and start working with you? Probably not. Most of us are lurkers. We want to check things out. We want to see, is she really who she says she is? Is she staying consistent with her content and not talking about like prenatal one day and menopause the next? Like, where is she? Like, is this the person that I want to follow? So that means that they actually have to be engaged with you and get on your list in some way, which is the piece I missed. And this can be as simple as having a little fitness challenge, having, your biggest fitness mistakes, something that they can raise their hand and say, I want to be on your list, be part of your audience and learn more from you. So that is a super important thing because you never know what could happen with Instagram or any of these other things. They can shut down. And if you do not have people on your own real estate, you have a problem.
Yeah.
So I always want to make sure that I'm getting people back onto my list. And then the important thing, and again, that's with some kind of a lead gen tool, could be a quiz, could be a guide, could be a cheat sheet, could be like I did a how to start a resistance training program on YouTube with a cheat sheet that went with it. And we had 7,000 opt-ins like right off the bat. I was like, wow, that's crazy. So what's the simple thing that you can do? But here's the important thing. Now that they're on your list, you actually have to create a relationship with them. Like you can't just go, they're on my list and leave them, because you have to now develop this whole relationship. If you do it the other way and then all of a sudden you think, okay, I want to sell them something, they're going to be like, what is this? Like, I don't know this person. So you get them on your list. So you now have an opportunity to build that relationship with them. And it's interesting. I have a friend who's like an OG in all of this. And he said, everyone thinks that it's about how quickly, how fast can you sell this person into your program? And, if you don't do it within the first 3 months, it doesn't matter, or the first 30 days. And what he discovered was of the people who join your list and are going to buy, only about 15% buy in that first 3 months. The other 85% buy over the next year to 18 months. And so we really want to make sure that we're building a relationship so that when they're ready to get started with you, that you didn't just create a customer for someone else.
Yeah.
And so you're giving them the opportunity to work with you all along the way. And you're also giving them value. So they're getting to know, like, and trust you all along the way.
Yeah. So we're going to identify our ideal client. We're going to attract them in the different ways that JJ listed. We're going to engage them. JJ, one thing that I do personally is I share my goal for number of new leads with the team, but we track new leads every month in addition to re-engaged leads. So actually every single day I get a report from my team and they say, okay, in March, the goal is 11,500 new leads that I bring in through social media and different platforms. But I want to see that my new and re-engaged leads are up in the 20,000. I want to see,
Right.
my re-engaged leads are actually even higher. What we do every month is a new micro commitment or a new initiative to generate leads around the new year. In December, we do a 14 days of fitness. This year, we brought 16,500 new leads in, and we converted 7% of them into our New Year round. But guess what? That means there's 93% more who we have the opportunity to warm up for the remainder of the year. And over time, they will become re-engaged leads and then ultimately convert. But it's just so important that we are considering how to build that relationship, because if I go on a date with somebody, I don't want to marry them right off the bat.
No.
Okay.
And that is exactly the perfect metaphor. Is you just met them and now you're going, hey, you want to have coffee? Okay, maybe like that was good. Let's go to lunch. Right. And what you're getting are those micro commitments until you get the full commitment. And there are those people, there's the quick start people who go, I'm all in. Right. There are those people. They're rare. For the most part, it tends to be the person who is like kind of checking you out. Maybe they'll do a little thing with you. They'll go, that worked well. Okay, I'm ready to go to a little farther. So we do micro commitments and commitments, checking in all the way along. I'll share a tool that my buddy Dean Jackson uses that we've used that's crazy easy and so effective. And it is called the 9-word email. And it is a simple, yes, here we go. Ready?
Yes.
So what you do is you send out to your list, hey, are you still looking to build your personal training business? It's as simple as, hey, are you still looking to? And all they do is go, yes. And then you respond back, great, we're doing a workshop on the easiest way to get leads who will commit. If you're interested in that, respond back. And that you start a conversation, but it's as simple as that first 9-word, hey, you still looking to? Hey, you're still looking to you know, lose that 10 pounds of body fat. Hey, you're still looking to put on 5 pounds of muscle. Hey, are you still looking to get more flexible? You know, whatever the thing is, right? Very simple thing. And then getting them to whatever that next commitment is. Because ultimately, again, that commitment, we're all wanting the commitment, but I look at this kind of like you're fishing and the commitment might take a year to get.
Wow.
Don't
Okay,
get up too
that
early.
totally shifted my perspective, JJ. I haven't heard statistics, and I love that you have that math brain that I don't have. I haven't heard the statistics on how long it takes a lead to convert, and you're absolutely right. We live in an instant gratification culture. So here's what we want to do. We want to post on social media the minute we become a personal trainer with an online business and say, I have this new online program. I'm, now a faster way coach, whatever the case may be. And we expect that 100 of our friends just join. But that is absolutely not the case. We have to identify exactly who we're speaking to, really pinpoint what problems we're going to solve, and stay consistent. I like your point about if
Yeah.
you're posting prenatal and then you're posting postmenopause, the next week it's a little confusing. We're going to attract them in with the different strategies, some of the non-scalable strategies as well. We're going to engage them with a lead magnet. We're going to nurture them. But the fact that it does take, what do you say, over 15 months for these leads to convert many times, that's a really long time. That's a long sales
Right.
cycle.
Right. And so you go, gosh, what am I going to be doing with these people? Well, that fun thing that you did on social media, you can just take a video of that, slap it, or the top tips from that, put it in an email once a week. You don't have to, it just has to be something, and you have to watch your open rates on that to make sure that you're really speaking to them. But yeah, if you think about it, 85% of those people could be that after 3 months, and most of us are walking away from that. And that means that you just spent a bunch of time and money, because time is money, teaching someone to become someone else's customer,
Wow.
which is super painful,
Yes.
who likely is not as good as you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not as good as you,
So,
not as caring as you. Wow. Yeah, okay,
right.
JJ, this is so good. Patience is a virtue. It's not one of my strengths or virtues, but yeah, really really key. I can't tell you how many people DM me and say, "I've been following you for 4 years and I just joined the faster way. I've been
There you
following you
go.
for 2 years and I just joined. I've been following you since the DVD days. I had your DVD and I just joined the faster way." I mean, you guys, that happens all the time. So we need to really
Right.
dial in our nurture strategy. We are going to run out of time in just a couple of minutes. We're not going to be able to get through all of your steps for growing this loyal, large audience, but let's share maybe one more tip for growing the audience, and then we'll go ahead and close.
We'll share the last one. We'll skip 6 and go to 7 because the last one's so important. And it is what happens when you do a great job. You create those raving fans who then will share with other people. Now, what is so important here with this is if you talk about client results, you are bragging. But if you take those loyal customers and they now share their results, it is truth. So one of the things you want to really make sure of is as people are going through and working with you and having these great experiences, and they'll tell you, and immediately when they tell you, they go, oh, grab it right then and there. Grab a recording of that, because it's now, I worked in reality TV for years, and whenever we had to do like second and third takes, they're never as good. The minute you hear it, like just turn around and go, can I write that down? Can we take a video of that? Let's get that going. And again, those are really your gold, because that is proof of what you're doing and that it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Turning around and asking people who are seeing great results to then become partners, ambassadors, share. That's absolutely key. I was just talking with the team today. So week 2, day 3, we send out a client survey and we say, how you doing? Share with us your experience. And then one of the most important questions on the survey is, how likely are you to tell a friend about Faster Way? And if they say 4 or 5 on a Likert scale, 1 through 5, then we follow up with them and say, hey, we'd love to have you share about Faster Way. I literally just today met with a new team member and I said, I just want you to call them. Just call
Yeah.
Sheila, say, we're thrilled you're having a great experience. We'd love to give you a link and kind of work you through this process of becoming a partner. I said, just pick up the phone. That's how I did it when I started Faster Way. Guess what? Every single person who said, I'd like to refer Faster Way to a friend, I sat on my condo porch and I did a 20-minute phone call. And and that's how I grew my ambassador program. So yeah, that is so important. JJ, let's hear maybe the biggest lesson, just personal lesson that you've learned through the process of growing and scaling your now multi-million dollar wellness business. Like share with us just that important lesson that you've learned.
You know, all of the like leverage tools and scaling tools are super sexy. But the reality is what you just explained about sitting on your porch and calling someone is really the most important. And even today, with these multiple companies and all the stuff going on, I go back to picking up the phone and talking to people and hearing what they have to say. And like I'm looking at some of the places I'm going to speak, and I have literally told the promoters, I go, I want to do a little meet and greet because I want to talk to people and hear what they have to say. Do not distance yourself from that. I think some of this stuff with social media and virtual, we're like, oh, okay, this will be like loads of people. And no, we always are talking to one person.
So good. Maybe one final piece of advice you'd leave with our gals who are hoping to scale, and they're kind of way back when. I mean, they're like you 25, 30 years ago, maybe more. They're kind of me in my tiny condo doing my little lunch and learn with 5 people. What's a piece of advice you'd leave with them?
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning because I know this works. And literally, I'll start new things and go straight back to this. So it is this commitment of 5 or more people that you can collaborate with. Right now, as you're listening to this, think about the people. Write down 10 or 20 because you may have to go through those to find your top 5. But write down 5 and think about with those 5 people, how can you help with their business? How can you support them? You are not a black hole. This is not them throwing you a bunch of business. This is you with them throwing business back and forth. The rising tide lifts all boats, number 1. Number 2, 4 interviews a month, IG Lives, podcasts. What can you do there? And how can you get on to some of these podcasts? Reach out. And if you're reaching out to someone, show the value, show that you've done the research. Like all people reach out to be on my podcast and they want to talk about, like I literally had someone who was a midwife. I go, I have a menopause audience that you're talking about their greatest fear. They do not want to see you.
Man, not trying to see you, Miss Midwife.
I'm like, have you looked at my audience? Okay, so that's the other piece of it. And then the final one is find those stages. And again, we both shared that our stages were literally like, 3 people in a pharmacy. So we all have these grandiose ideas of like, I'll get so and so to just start small because we're not fantastic when we're first starting. We have to learn. I still think of the first time I did this thing on local TV and we took like 6 hours to tape this. We were doing a kitchen and clean out the kitchen, whole intervention. And I didn't know about powder at the time. And I'm watching this show after the fact. And first of all, the whole show, I looked like Cousin It because I had my hair, a hair wall. Mm-hmm. But when you did actually get to see my face in the recordings, I looked wet. Because I'd never put any powder on. I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't want to do that on Dr. Phil. No, you want to know by the time you get to Dr. Phil that powder's a great thing and hairspray your hair back.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Okay, JJ, you are the best. Again, it's such an honor and privilege to have you on this masterclass because you have so much experience, so much expertise, so much wisdom, and we are all much, much better off for it. I was taking notes as we went. Write out all of those different tips that JJ just gave you. And I want you to start reaching out to people, not just write out this list of collaborators, DM them, text them, email them. Okay. I want you to get into forward motion because hearing it is not enough. You actually got to do something. So, JJ, thank you so much. You are just absolutely the best. We truly appreciate it. Where can we find you online?
JJ Virgin. And everything's, it's either JJ.Virgin, JJ Virgin Official, all over the place. JJ Virgin, somehow involved in the names.
Love it. Love it. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this. JJ, thank you again. We'll talk to you soon.